Hi, my name is Ella and I'm the Plants Meow, and welcome to my channel. So today I'm actually going to be doing a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and actually I've been meaning to repot Elvira for a long time now. So as you can see, she's definitely a big girl. And I actually got her not that long ago. I'll insert a picture of her here now, and I believe it was sometime in the summertime that I got her this way. Now the goal for this video is really one, to split her from her pup. So there's two plants in here, so if you don't already know, Anthuriums as they mature and grow will divide or grow a pup. So you're able to split off multiple plants from one plant, which is really amazing. And Elvira in particular was a plant that the owner didn't really want to give up initially. It was actually a very difficult decision for her, but she was contemplating selling it and I had really wanted her. Honestly, I am so thrilled that I did get her, because if you look, she's absolutely stunning. Like, she's the most velvet, just gorgeous Anthurium. Like, oh. Honestly, I'm just so obsessed with her. One of the reasons for splitting her is actually because she's really clustered in here and it's actually impacting her growth. And the other reason is because, like I said, since the previous owner, which is MONSTERA Maven, had a difficult time parting with her, I wanted to actually give her the pup of this. And I'm really excited to do that because she's absolutely just stunning. Like, I just can't believe how much she's really thrived. So my last reason for doing it, I really want to make sure she's healthy. So even though she has grown a lot, I let her grow out 2 inflorescences. And honestly, that was a mistake on my part. I had thought about pollinating her, but really she's still too young a plant for that. And if you pollinate an Anthurium or let their inflorescence grow out and they're not quite ready yet, what happens is you get a lot of deformed new growth, and that started happening on Elvira, and I got really devastated by that. If I could show you, there's just like this no growth here, like that was no good. I mean, again, it could just be from the clustering, but really, I want to make sure that her roots are healthy as well. I want to make sure it's not just the inflorescences that I'm thinking did this to her, but also to make sure there's nothing wrong with the root system, because that would be devastating, honestly, if there was. And I really, really would like to make sure that everything's okay. And also, I would encourage you to please check out MONSTERA Maven's Instagram. She has some incredible plants, a beautiful page. Honestly, it's just a really gorgeous soul. If you ever get the chance to speak to her, she's just absolutely the sweetest person. She does her live video chats, and they just make you feel so good about yourself. They're the kind of person that's really genuinely, like, just very enjoyable to watch and to listen to. So I'd highly encourage you to go over and check out her page. And now, really quickly, before I get into splitting Elvira up, I want to talk about the substrate that I'm going to be putting her into and why. The particular substrate that I'm going to be using today is actually Lechuza. I wanted to give a shout out here to Variegated Velvet on Instagram, who has encouraged me to use Lechuza in the self-watering planter system. Seeing her grow her aroids so happy, healthy, and even growing inflorescences on her Anthuriums and Philodendrons has given me the courage to take the step to implement this easy, self-watering planter setup. Please go give her page some love and enjoy the beautiful plants she has to show you. And this pot is actually a mixture of zeolite, pumice, lava rock, and a slow release fertilizer. And there's really various reasons I want to be using this. The main reason, first, because I'm going to be using this self-watering planter. I do have a larger size because I'm pretty much confident that I'm going to need a bigger pot than this. But the reason I wanted to use a self-watering planter is because, honestly, it's a lot to water your Anthuriums every few days if you have it in that kind of setup. Honestly, I'm at the point where it's just like, I don't want that much maintenance, especially with my growing plant collection. So when I was considering a self-watering planter, I didn't just want to use my soil mixture going into this because I didn't know how that was going to fare in a self-watering planter. It made me a little worried that she'd have too much water and not enough air. I did experiment. My first Anthurium I put into Lechuza in a self-watering planter was actually my red crystallinum, and honestly that was a plant that really needed a repot, and it was really scary for me to put it into pond right away without knowing how it was going to react. But honestly, at this point, I think it's been about 4 or 5 weeks that she's been in this pond and in this planter, and everything's completely fine. She hasn't freaked out. There was no transitional period for her at all, so it all went very smoothly. And it's been 4 or 5 weeks that I have not watered her. And that's honestly the best thing about a self-watering planter, especially one that has a really like good reservoir, is that you're gonna go a long amount of time without ever having to water your plants, and that's pretty incredible. Like, to go from watering an Anthurium every few days to watering them like every 5 weeks or more is insane, honestly. So I'm super happy about that. But let me just tell you a bit about this pond. So this is the type of bag that this Lechuza pond comes in, and what it is a soil substitute. So what that means is that you don't have to completely clean the entire root ball of its dirt in order to put it in pond. So that's another huge thing, because you really don't want to disturb the root system so much that it ends up harming your plant. So that's kind of the one of the reasons I've stayed away from Leca, although I have tried it many moons ago, is that it's just cleaning off the entire root system is a lot for your plant. And especially when you get tips like clean it with a toothbrush or whatnot. That's horrifying, honestly. I don't want a healthy plant to just kind of like freak out going into my new substrate because I had to clean its roots bare. I still like to get it mostly clean, but I'm not gonna go in there and really just kind of scrape at the roots, because that's just not what I want to accomplish here. And also, if you're not comfortable with a self-watering planter, you don't have to use a self-watering planter for pond, because it is a soil substitute. And the reason I'm hammering that in is because you treat it exactly like you would soil. And in that way, if you plant a plant in pond, then what you're going to be doing is watering it just like soil. So if you have a philodendron you water once a week, continue watering it once a week, but in pond. Like, it's the same thing. Also, the great thing about this, it's the ideal ratio for air and water. So it's this substrate allots for 45% air and 55% water. And if the Lechuza website is right, there's a lot of benefits to this product. Benefits such as reducing vulnerability to disease, the fact that it doesn't compact, even after many, many years, that it maintains an ideal pH balance. Honestly, that's so big because I'm always adjusting the pH of my water. So if the substrate can kind of do it on its own without me doing all the the extra work, then honestly, that's pretty great for me. Now, this is still a test in progress for me. So if I do see some kind of like pH deficiency, I will report that. But as of this moment, I don't have anything to report based on my red crystallinum. It also distributes a balanced amount of nutrients. So if you excessively fertilize your substrate, it's going to absorb some of that excess fertilizer and actually give it back to the plant whenever it's ready for it. Also, it's I can't talk, natural odor absorber. So if you have any dead roots that you kind of just don't get off while you're potting it, or that just die off in time, they're gonna block that smell that can come from a plant with dead roots. It also helps to block fungi that can attack the roots. Because you're having so much air in the substrate, you're really just gonna prevent any kind of bad fungi from accumulating in your substrate. And then also, if you have a problem with pests such as fungus gnats, you can feel better knowing that you're not going to have a fungus gnat issue. It's not this moist, damp environment like just sitting on top all the time. Now, this isn't going to get rid of all your pests. Obviously, you'll still have issues with pests that don't exactly linger in the soil, but with fungus gnats being such a huge issue for people, it's honestly a great alternative. So now, giving you the reasons that I'm going to be putting this plant into the substrate, I'm going to go ahead and split her apart, and you're going to be able to see that process. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So it's pretty much unavoidable that you're going to have roots that are just growing out of your net pot. That's pretty much just an issue. I do notice that there is some kind of like fungal growth in here, so it's just probably been remaining too damp, which could be another issue for what I've been seeing on the foliage. Oh yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to rinsing this off of her. I'm actually gonna go get gloves because I don't want to be touching fungi. Now, since it doesn't look too insane, I'm actually gonna take a picture of this so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, you see growth on there. And that's probably due to the organic fertilizer that I was using like about a month ago. I've stopped using it because of the winter, and I was also thinking I was using too much of it, and now I feel validated in that because of all this kind of fungal growth. It's probably not harmful to the plant, but you really don't want too much of a buildup of anything like that. Now this is gonna be messy. It's probably gonna be a bit harder because there is new growth happening and I don't want to break the new growth, so hopefully this ends up being a gentle process. And I'm not looking to break off any roots. I want this to be as easy as possible. Well, it has a fantastic root system. This is the worst thing, honestly, about net pots. I know you can cut the roots because honestly, just putting your plant in a net pot, they're gonna grow obscene amounts of roots even in a short period of time. So if you want a plant to get healthy fast, they're really a great option. But they're such a pain when you go to repot. Ah, there we go. Alright, gonna untangle these. I'm trying to save as much of the root as possible. So now the plan is to get as much dirt off as possible so that separating the roots from these two plants is an easier task. And to do this, I'm just gonna lightly tease through the roots, nothing too harsh, moving some bark pieces as I find them, but being as gentle as possible. So this should be, once I get these roots entangled, a relatively easy splitting. But yeah, it definitely looks like a nice repot is gonna do this plant some good. Her roots feel pretty dry at the moment, so I could have probably used more water as I watered her. But they're all very healthy. Like they're still very juicy roots. So here you'll see where they're splitting. And just got to very gentle, just tease out gently what roots are just kind of attached. Because they've been growing together for a long time. Alright, so it's hard to see right now, but she was attached to this little section of the mother plant, so I just pulled it off and it just kind of snapped right off. You can use shears for that, but honestly, I just find they kind of pop off. Like it's something that they know is meant to happen. So now I just got to make sure to divide the roots properly. It's so wonderful when you feel them finally spread apart. Yes. Here is the pup plant. So it actually has 4 leaves plus a 5th one that's currently growing. So I really didn't want to unpot these while there was still a leaf growing because it stunts the growth if you ship a plant with a leaf growing. I'll pack this very well and I hope that it will do very well, but honestly this plant was constantly growing, so there wasn't really a good time for me to do that. The mother plant, which we will be potting right now with her big leaves. So this is all Elvira after I've rinsed her roots. I didn't do anything crazy. I just let the water run through them and just kind of put my hands through them. So very, very healthy and big root system. Very beautiful leaves. So I'm going to show you really quickly an example of the leaf that was stunted. So here is the leaf before the newest one, which is very large. And then this is the one after it. And you can tell just like the points it suffered because of that. So I think with the fungi completely washed off, the separation from the pup, the cutting of the inflows, I've done everything that I really can to make this new leaf that's popping out as happy and healthy as possible. Hopefully this repotting doesn't stunt that new leaf, but even if it does, I'm fully prepared for that to be something that happens. I just love this plant so much. And now I'm kind of gonna decide which pot to put her in. I feel like she fits okay in it, but she'd be due for a repot probably in like a good amount of time. Like not that long of a time frame. And I really don't want to repot her for a long time. So here is the large one, which I feel, yeah, she should be good in it. This is the size up actually. It's the Quadro 11-inch pot, and I got it in the matte black color because I love matte black. These come in a lot of different sizes and a lot of different colors, and you don't have to get them in this square shape. I just happen to like it. So matte black 11-inch Quadro. So it's actually pretty simple to assemble. You have your pot. So first thing, you're gonna assemble this piece to the square. So you just pop it into the back like so, and then you just put the whole thing directly into the bottom of your pot, and it will look like that. And then you take the water meter gauge, pop the little thing on that tells you whether it's how much water you have in there. Pop to here, and then you can put down your cap over top of the meter. So that is the pot assembled. So now with our assembled pot, we're gonna start adding our pond into the mix. So while putting this in here, I noticed this as an issue. Now, some people probably wouldn't think of this while they were potting their plant, but if you look at your Anthurium, if I put her upright, like I was gonna keep her in this pot, you can see her foliage is touching the sides of the pot. And this is not something you wanna do with your Anthuriums because they transpire a lot. And because of that, they're gonna get damage on their leaves if they're leaning on anything like that. So because this pot is so square, it is not ideal for this situation. The smaller pot will be better just because it is not as wide. Now in the future when I go to repot her in a larger pot, I will just get one that is not square so that it'll be narrower here and her leaves won't touch. But at this moment, I can't put her in this larger pot like I intended because I didn't even think about, even though I knew her petioles were long, they're not as long as a longer petioled Anthurium would be. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove her from this larger one. Really wish I could put her in this one this time around, but that is not something I can do until I buy a bigger planter. So for now, I'm going to wait till she gets larger, until I really repot her again. Ideally, I won't be repotting her for another at least 6 months. And she does fit perfectly fine in this planter. I was just hoping to put her in one that wouldn't need repotting for a long time. But that is not the fate of today. So now what we're going to do is pour enough water in here that the gauge gets to the maximum marker here. You don't want it going over the maximum marker. If you ever do, you can always just open up this corner here and pour some out. But really it's much easier if you just are really careful in how you do it because it's kind of a pain. And now you water it like you would normally water your plants, just getting it all over the roots. Now I'm going to watch my gauge and see where it goes up. Hopefully it doesn't go over max, but honestly I get overzealous during this repotting time and I water too much. So it looks like it is about at that marker, but what I'm going to do real quickly as I make sure, I'm just going to clean off my foliage. Alright, and it looks like she is at the maximum line. And there she is in all her glory. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope you did enjoy it. I certainly am super happy I finally got her repotted and I feel more comfortable with her new growth going forward. Certainly if she gets her new leaf before this video goes out, I will put it in at the end of this video just so you can see what did happen to her new leaf. Was it stunted? Did it grow really big? Was it also warped? So I guess we'll just kind of find out. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you use Lechuza pond, your opinions on it, good or bad, and what you think about the self-watering method. I think in the past that I've thought it was just something people who didn't normally collect houseplants used, and really just for the kind of person that occasionally had a plant. But honestly, I found it's so far been incredible, and I'm just really excited to see where this goes. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it.